welcome back to the Youth Wednesdays morning show here on Tobago Updates. Now, we will be starting this morning's conversation all things budget. Now, viewers, this was supposed to be hosted by Mr. Dwayne Mills, but he was unavoidably absent, so I will be filling in for him. So I'm joined by, I'm going to allow our guests to introduce themselves. Some of them you already know, some of them you may not know. So starting from my right.
Hi, good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. I am Daniel Wilson, youth leader, public speaker, advocate, and current Commonwealth Students Association Tobago representative.
Hi, good morning, Tobago. I'm Keigon Denoon. Most of you are familiar with me. I am past Parika Village Ambassador, current president of one of the best village councils on the island, the Tobago Village Council, and youth advocate. And today we are going to be here to dive a bit into the budget and see how best we can, look at the positives, the negatives, where we have fallen short, where we could do better, and see how best we could educate the youth on the budget of the island.
That's interesting, Keigon, that you mentioned the youth, because we are now in the season where youth internships, they are in the air. And I understand that in the budget proposal, there was something mentioned about youth internships on the island. Daniel, on that topic, what is your perspective when it comes to youth internships on the island and Tobago's budget?
Well, I think that we as young people should all be interested in the development of our small island, Tobago, and really understanding and having an appreciation for the budget is very important. With specific reference to youth internships on the island, when going through the budget and looking at the budget for fiscal 2024 and comparing it to 2025, I noticed that under the World of Work program and the YES program, they were able to increase membership from 250 in fiscal 2024 to 450 young people in 2025. So I think that that is a positive step in the right direction. A lot of young people are eager to really enter the workforce, to really build their professional cadre and to build their business acumen. And I think that our young people being able to benefit from all these internship opportunities are very positive. So I'll hand over to Keigon now, who has a very particular interest in some of these internship programs, to just share his perspective on it.
I'm happy that you were able to highlight the increase from 250 to 450, because I believe that internships are a critical aspect and very integral in our society. When a young person leaves school, there are a number of things that you learn in school that are not applicable in the world of work. So the YES program, the World of Work program, all the internships like T.H.A, Office of the Chief Secretary, and CAST offer you that bridge to unite what you would have learned in school and what you're going to need in the world of work. This year, particularly the YES program, we would have taken on 140 young persons. That's to the tune of almost $2 million invested into the young people of Tobago. And the best investment that any government can make, Luke and Daniel, you would attest, is into the future of the island.
Correct.
And I'm sure both of you, as beneficiaries of internship programs on the island, can attest to what this has done for increasing your capacity and also adding value to you as an individual. Thereby, you can now add value to the socio-economic development of this island.
And Keigon, it's interesting that from an island perspective, we were able to increase the employment for young people, because when you look on a nation scale and also regionally, there is the pressing need for youth to get employment. We saw that during the COVID-19 pandemic, youth who were at the front line, they were easily laid off. But now that our island is making sure that we put those steps in place to ensure that no young person is left behind, that the youth who have the qualifications, they can get employment, get the training and the experience they need. It's really interesting that we are pushing our revenue and or resources into those internship programs. Now, time is of the essence, so we have to run through this interview really quickly, unfortunately. So most likely management is going to give us a part 2. Now, tourism is something that is very dear to the island of Tobago. I think most of our revenue comes from tourism, may or may not. And I think we are always pro-tourism. We are always trying to promote tourism on the island. And it's always interesting how we read the aspect of tourism in the budget. Now, tourism and the orange economy, what are your thoughts on that, Daniel?
So, as mentioned under the heading Tourism and the Orange Economy in this fiscal 2025 budget, they spoke a lot about improvement of the tourism infrastructure on the island. So specifically, upgrading the Storby Beach facility, estimated cost $15 million. Transformation of the home of the Blue Food Festival into an entertainment and commercial hub. and a cadre of other plans, including the beautification of Scarborough, etc. My concern is that all of these are amazing plans that would undoubtedly contribute to the development of our Tobago. But some of these have been mentioned in the previous budget, in fiscal 2024. So my worry, or my concern rather, is how are we really building and developing on our tourism product? Because when we look at, let's say, the increase in the number of cruise ship passengers, it was noted that in 2022-2023, there were 46,864 cruise ship passengers, whereas in 2023-2024, we had 103,838. And while this increase is good, how are we now investigating the satisfaction level of the tourists who visit our island? How are we going to keep them interested since they are only here for sometimes one day? Are we engaging in collecting data, emails, and all this stuff to really promote destination Tobago to them? So I think it's very important not only that we increase numbers, but we also prioritize collecting data and using that data and using the algorithms available to us to market Tobago beyond destination Tobago, beyond just when tourists come to the island, but also reaching them where they are, sending emails, utilizing our young people who are on the social media and TikTok space. All of these things are important and will really contribute to benefit our orange economy.
Excellent response,
Excellent. Just back on that, as it pertains to the investments that are coming for the airlines to upgrade tourism product that you have to offer. Look, you sure you have experience of travel, being character ambassador, and you would agree that what we have here to offer Tobago is sometimes better than what you experience in a number of the other Caribbean islands. But we give it here for free. We visit all our forts for free. We visit most of the beaches for free.
Yes.
You visit most of the iconic statues like the unnamed two-man for free.
For free.
How do you then ascertain the return on the investment when upgrading these facilities? Would these investments be better allocated in other aspects of Tobago in terms of driving private sector investment, driving the private sector development? Because you would agree, even if you look at the budget statement, you would see that Tobago's employment force, the majority of it is employed by Tobago House of Assembly as compared to Trinidad. What are we doing in this budget to see how best we can reduce the dependency on the Tobago House of Assembly?
Interesting.
What are we doing in terms of ensuring that young people probably go and study different fields to ensure that we can drive private sector development? And the thing about it is, yes, we focus so much on tourism, but tourism, what is the return on the investment? How much money does one tourist spend when they come to the island? We are boasting of 108,000 tourists on the island for that physical. How much money was spent on the island? How much Tobagonians benefited from that? What can we do to increase that number of expenditure? What can we do to have the tourists spending more money when they come here, staying here longer? What can we do to have more cruise ships docked at the Scarborough port at a time? So in terms of investments, I think we can look at the investment of expanding the Scarborough Harbour in terms of ensuring that we can have more cruise ships berthed there at a time during the cruise ship season. That way, like some of the other Caribbean islands have 3 and 4 cruise ships docked, you now have a greater influx of revenue on the island. And then you can have the conversation of upgrading the tourist facility.
Okay, Keigon, excellent points. I always prompt management that when we're having these types of discussion that is like a debate style, because I think the points that are going around the table are really valid. But adding to what you would have just said, Keigon, admittedly, when we go to other Caribbean islands and we go to the tourist attractions, you will see the big boot tourist price, local price, and you oftentimes have to pay to see these attractions. And in Tobago, we do give it away for free. So hopefully in the future, we can see that implemented here on the island. But now that time is against us, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. We appreciate that the budget, it was just a projection.
Right.
And we want young people to get involved in this type of island development. But we see it across the board. We see it in Trinidad Trinidad, we see it on other islands, that the youth are oftentimes included after the fact. They ask us for our perspective after the fact. On that topic of having the young people involved in the budget preparation, what are your thoughts on having young people involved in that type of process?
But the thing about it is, I am quite pleased to see the direction the island is moving in as it pertains to youth involvement. Quite recently, we had a very young finance secretary who would have taken the oath of office. And I look forward to seeing her contributions to the island because I know that she's an individual who would have contributed. She's one who is well experienced. And so I'm sure she's one who would be looking at this live this morning and taking some cues as to what she can do in preparation for the next budget preparation. The thing about it is, Luke, it is a fact that young people are always called after the fact, just to say that young people are consulted.
Yes.
The only way that can change is when the people who are put into office change that. And if the people that are put into office now are younger and can relate better to us, I believe it is time for them to see what you would call the lack of opportunity for us, see what they can do to fill that void, and see how best we can move together in actually making this the greatest little island on earth. And I love actually the term for the budget this year. The term for the budget,
Daniel, can the term for the
I believe
budget?
it's embracing Tobago's development potential, I believe.
Something around those lines, but I think it's something different.
Something
But
about development.
something like
Development
Tobago's
potential.
development
Yes.
potential. You know,
Right.
that's a
So
really interesting theme.
all of us understand the wealth of potential that Tobago has. And all of us understand that it needs to be developed. But what are we doing to ensure that we get to that developed position?
And Keigon, just to add to that, I believe that youth and young people, the onus is also on us to take concern and be a part of conversations like these, to show interest in areas of national concern and to really be a part of the conversation and want to be a part of the conversation. Young people are really the future of our little Tobago, and without young people, without the bright minds, without our innovation, without our creativity, we really would not see the development that we want to see for the future of Tobago. So I believe our involvement is crucial, it is pivotal, and it is the only way that Tobago will grow into the greatest little planet on the island.
So
All right.
Daniel, what you're saying is that you are ready to assist the finance secretary in the preparation for the next budget.
I am always ready for national
So
service.
Luke, you are always you are ready.
Well, I
as
think at the end of the day, we are youth leaders. We are charged with the task of, representing the interests of the youth in these types of conversations, meeting those people with the power and influence to frame policies to ensure that when they do it, the interests of the youth is represented the best way possible. I hope in the future we can probably get an invite from the newly appointed finance secretary where
I
we can
agree with
sit
that.
down and just have the conversations. We can flesh it out. We can do a whole autopsy and find out how we can make it better to ensure that when it is proposed, when it's sent out there, the youth of Tobago, they benefit the best. So we have the youth councils, we have the CARICOM perspective, we have the Commonwealth perspective, you have been a youth leader for probably as long as we can think. So if we can come together and work, we can achieve that. So wrapping up, what are your final thoughts? We have about 5 minutes left before we go into the next segment.
So my final thoughts, I believe that this budget for fiscal 2025 was a good effort, and we see that some key areas, especially in terms of education, in terms of youth internship and employment on the island, they are being catered to and heavily invested into. However, I believe, as with any society, more needs to be done. We need to invest more in our young people. We need to invest more in the things that they are passionate about. We need to invest more in emerging industries like IT. We need to invest more in young people in agriculture. I think we need to invest more even in things like renewable energy. But all in all of these things happen over time. So it's all about getting young people especially involved in these conversations and bringing up these issues to those in authority, ensure that Tobago prospers and to ensure that we as Tobagonians prosper as well.
Correct, Keigon.
I totally agree with Daniel, and I believe as young people, we must be always so focused on being solution-oriented rather than problem-oriented. So in every problem, as young people, let us look for a solution and look at an opportunity where we can contribute to that solution. Because all of us have to live here. This is our island. It is the greatest little island on earth, but it's
Correct.
our greatest little island on earth. We have to do our individual part in making this society better than it is. Something that I was quite passionate about seeing in the budget loop would have been the increase in the food card allocation. It shows our interest in our social responsibility. I also saw an increase in the funeral grant, to ensure that those in the society who need the assistance would be getting it. So there are some positives in the budget. And as Daniel rightfully said, the budget would always have room for improvement. But let us focus on what we have. Let us focus on what we would have gotten. Let us take what we can from the budget as young people, see how best we can make it work for us. As I said, be more solution-oriented and problem-oriented.
All right, so guys, I want to thank you for joining us on this very impromptu interview. I know that these conversations are always healthy. I do hope that we can look forward to a part 2 where we are all better prepared, where we probably have an hour, cough, an hour to, have the conversations. Probably the table can be extended where we can involve more young persons to really have the conversation. So, guys, I want to thank you for joining us. I do look forward to continuing this conversation with you all. All right, viewers, that was just a touch of the budget discussion with some of our Tobagonian youth. We'll be taking a quick break right now, and just remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.